HV11 Plus, and you're probably picking us up on the app right now. And the reason we're here, of course, is to talk about this developing winter storm and the impacts that it will have on our forecast in the coming days. And I got to say this, confidence level running pretty high. We're going to get some wintry weather here in Arkansas.
It does look like it, yes.
This morning, Nathan and I were a bit surprised at some of the shorter range models coming in, decreasing some amounts of snow in parts of Arkansas, but and we'll talk about amounts in just a few minutes. I know there's some people get really excited about snow.
Yeah.
The kids want the snow.
I mean, I like snow.
I
grew
do.
up in Maryland. I love snow. I don't like to drive in it so much, but I will make a snowball and a snowman.
Sure, and we could even do that in the weather garden if we get enough of the white stuff here. So, looking forward, Thursday and Friday, really, we could see snow begin as early as late morning hours Thursday and overspread Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, first part of Friday. National Weather Service has extended a winter storm watch.
No surprise there.
No, it includes pretty much all of Arkansas except Ashley, Chico County, and southeast Arkansas and northwest Arkansas. So, this is the sweet spot for snow, sleet, freezing rain.
Yeah. Winter storm watch means it's possible. It's still not a guarantee. So these winter storm watches may need to be upgraded to winter storm warnings by this time tomorrow, or they could be downgraded to a winter weather advisory, which means less of an impact, but nonetheless still an impact. And there could even be winter storm watches that get wiped away entirely if the model formation shows the potential of more rain. I think that is a possibility for southeast Arkansas. I think that's why the Jackson National Weather Service has held off so far for winter storm watches for Ashley and Chico counties.
But there still could be some significant icing in southern Arkansas, freezing rain and sleet. A lot of it really depends on and determined by the track of the low in the Gulf.
Yes.
And when that low develops, when it's expected to develop. You've got the upper level support to also take into consideration. I think the one thing that we know for sure is we're going to have cold enough air for most of Arkansas for something wintry to develop and occur over an extended amount of time.
We're going to have winter weather somewhere in Arkansas, but as with any winter storm, we're looking at the different pieces of the puzzle. And right now we got the one piece with the upper level low hovering over Baja California and into Mexico. And then you have another piece arriving from the Pacific Northwest that will come in and kind of team up with that system. And then all this moves into Arkansas. The big question now is, do they come together perfectly, or do they stay separated? And if they stay separated, then our amount of snow drops off.
Right.
If they phase together, then we're looking at the highest potential of snow.
You know, part of the reason we're here is to be as transparent as possible. Yeah, Nathan and I can look out 10 days and see that, oh, there is some kind of potential there. 10 days ago, we could see something here, but our focus was really on what was going to be happening this weekend. We had severe weather in Arkansas.
Yeah,
there were a lot of look at the sleet and freezing rain that could occur here, but you know what? There's that part of the state that saw the severe weather. We really needed to get that out of the way before we focus in on what's going to happen later this week.
And when you look out so far in advance, 5, 6, 7 days, it's like you're putting a puzzle together with your eyes closed. Yes, the pieces are there. Sometimes they come together as we get closer and closer to the event, and sometimes they go in two different directions.
Yeah.
We don't want them to go in two different directions as we get closer and closer to the event, and that's why the NAM and some other model formation is kind of making a lot of meteorologists question accumulation maps, especially in Dallas. I mean, I feel for the people in Dallas right now because the model formation that they're looking at, one, the European is showing 10 inches of snow, and then the GFS says 2 inches, and other model formation says buckets, nothing.
Yeah. And looking at the information that came through this morning, and Nathan and I have visited on this before. Usually when I get a text from Nathan that says, Graf, what are you doing? One of our in-house models, it was taking a lot of the snow away from central Arkansas. Still kept enough for a decent snowfall, but was beginning to show signs of a shift to the southeast. Icon Graphic was doing the same thing. The NAM took the snow pretty much away from us at 12Z this morning, that model run. But the two consistents in this have been the European and the GFS. The longer range models still indicate that we could have significant snows here. So at what point in time do we say, okay, those two models are probably not correct and we need to go with something in between? And that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. So it's like, are the short-term models that we're looking at right now, is it a fluke or is it a new trend that they're picking up on? And the longer-term models, such as the European and GFS, are just kind of out to lunch at this time, going with the bigger totals. That's something we'll figure out, hopefully, as we get closer and closer. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a better answer. But the newest model of the NAM is coming in now, so we'll see what that says versus what it said this morning. If it says the same thing, then my concern goes up a little bit that maybe we need to draw back on some of the snowfall totals around the region.
Yeah, so it may mean that, okay, the models are on track with the low, maybe shifting a little farther to the south, which would pull most of the snow, or at least the heavier snowfall, a little farther to the south. Still think we're going to get some snow here in the Little Rock area. Not going to take, I think we're going to get some. But we also want to be as responsible for you as we possibly can in providing you with a fairly accurate snowfall prediction.
Yeah.
I tell you what, having grown up in Arkansas and having been on the wrong end of some of these snow forecasts that go awry, and oh, by the way, I woke up to a dusting of partly cloudy on my car this morning, which was something like, oh man, clouds rolled in last night. I've actually been a part of this with Chief Meteorologist Ed Buckner, where I've said, Ed, go look out the window. This is like 3 in the morning, and there's 6 inches of snow, and we were only supposed to get a couple of inches. So
yeah,
it's never exact. And I really think snow forecasting in Arkansas should be brought to you by a bottle of ibuprofen more than anything else.
But snow forecasting anywhere is going to be a challenge. I mean, I remember growing up in Maryland, the forecasters in Baltimore, D.C., they would forecast a foot of snow. I'd wake up, nothing on the ground. Right. And then, I'd be like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know what they're talking about. But when you're in that position and you look at the model formation, yes, it is very challenging because there's so many facets to forecasting when a storm. It's the pieces of the puzzle, but also talking about the temperature profile. We're not just looking at the temperature at the surface. You're looking at the temperature 2,000 feet above the surface, 5,000 feet above the surface. And that's just because that plays into the role of, is it going to be all snow? Is there going to be sleet? Is there going to be freezing rain? That glaze of ice that's going to be potentially a concern. Or is it going to be 33 and just plain rain? We've seen that in many cases as well.
And I'll tell you that has happened to me, where we had a slam dunk. And trust me, snow forecasting is never a slam dunk. And this was years ago. John Lewis, National Weather Service, he and I have conversation about this, forecasting 8, 10, 12 inches of snow in Little Rock. And guess what? It was a couple of inches of rain in Little Rock.
Oh.
Snow line was well to the north.
And as meteorologists, you don't forget those type of events.
No. So that's why I'm a little more cautious about things like this. I do want to touch on something you said. You get that nose of warm air that intrudes there in the mid levels that takes that wintry weather scenario that we're talking about and turns it to rain.
Yeah.
And that's still possible over parts of Arkansas.
And the models don't handle that warm air advection very well. The Gulf of Mexico is abnormally warm. Mm-hmm. Are the models seeing this right now, or are they missing it? I think right now, the chance of rain, it's going to be in play in South Arkansas and Southeast Arkansas. Will it be an entire rain event? Or will it be more of maybe snow, freezing rain, sleet, changing over to all rain, and then maybe back over to snow? So there's, once again, not everybody in the state's going to see the same thing, but I think right now the best chance of all snow or mostly snow is for us here in Central Arkansas.
Yeah, and maybe lesser amounts as you work your way to the north, and even a heavier band may develop somewhere around central and south central Arkansas. So let's talk about the weather impact alert for Thursday and Friday. Could begin to snow in parts of Arkansas as early as Thursday morning, overspreading Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and early Friday. We may cut back on this a little bit or add to it. Just depends on when this stuff actually begins. Winter storm watch means heavy snow is possible. Criteria for winter storm watch in central Arkansas, 3 inches of snow. So the National Weather Service puts out the watch saying we could at least have 3 inches of snow. Hazardous travel is going to develop. Don't let your guard down and think I've got plenty of time, because when this precipitation starts to fall, the roadways might be just above freezing in some regards, but as that snow falls heavily, it's going to overtake the fact that the ground may be a little warmer, and then it begins to pile up. And if I were you, I'd keep at least dripping those faucets for the next couple of 3 days. Temperatures have been very cold, and we're not expecting those numbers to get much above freezing until we hit the weekend.
We haven't gotten above freezing today.
Well, that's because there's this canopy of clouds that
I think tomorrow we will get above freezing. I think we'll see more sunshine tomorrow before the actual storm moves in.
You talked about it a few minutes ago, what to expect, mainly snow.
It's a beautiful map.
It is a map.
Lots of colors.
You made that map, I know. So let's just walk everyone through what the thought process with this map.
Yeah, so the pink, that's where we're thinking it's going to be maybe it's a little bit of snow, but then changing over to sleet, freezing rain. Where is the most freezing rain going to be? Where's the most sleet going to be? That's still some details we need to figure out. Freezing but also rain. Where you see that dashed green line, that's where I think rain will possibly mix in. And I think we may have to adjust this a little farther to the north and northwest, looking at more information that's coming in. That nose of warm air, it's going to change things to rain, especially into Louisiana. Now, here's the tricky part. Where does the all snow line versus the wintry mix line set up? Because right along that line, most likely that's where you're going to get the heavier bands of snow or the deformation zone. And that's where you'll see really big fat flakes that will add up very quickly. So with central Arkansas right now, we're saying Little Rock to the north and to the west, mainly an all snow event. I'm pretty confident in that forecast. As for where the heaviest band of snow could set up, we're looking at some information, and right now I think the Ouachitas. Now I may have to lower this a little farther to the south, but by far I think lighter snow amounts will happen into North Arkansas just because there'll be less moisture in that part of the state. So if we're going to go with the general accumulation, widespread range before we really start to fine-tune details, I think Little Rock and for the area in the mostly snow zone, a general 3 to 6 inches is good expectation right now. Could there be higher totals? Absolutely. You get those bands of heavier snow, that can add up to another 2 to 3 inches. We don't know where those heavier bands are going to be because we're not close enough to the event. Down to the south, more rain mixes in, and people will be like, well, there's no winter weather potentially into Ashley and Chico counties. Also, we got to talk about the snow ratios, Tom.
Sure.
Because the temperatures play a huge factor in that. So if the temperatures are into the 20s, our snow ratio, which is typically 10 inches of snow is 1 inch of rain, or 1 inch of rain equals 10 inches of snow. When you have temperatures that are colder,
some drier
in the 20s, and the snow is more of that powdery, dry snow, your snow ratios can be more like 1 inch of rain equals 12 to 14 inches of snow. In this case, what we're looking at, the temperature's going to be closer to freezing, 31, 32 degrees. It'll be that wet snow, which is going to be great for making snowballs, snowmen. It'll be easily to be compacted together, but the snow ratio will drop. So more likely, it will be instead of 1 inch of rain equals 10 inches of snow, it'll be 1 inch of rain equals maybe 7 or 8 inches of snow, and that'll play a factor in accumulation amounts across the state. And I want to show, if we can go to Storm Track 11, this is what we're looking at, okay? This is what makes our jobs as meteorologists a little challenging. So this is the European model. This is the snowfall forecast for the entire storm, starting Thursday all the way until Friday evening at 6 o'clock. And this is the European. This is the outlier when it comes to the highest totals. It's saying 13 inches in Hot Springs. It's got a corridor of very heavy snowfall through Clark County, Pike County, and into southwest Arkansas. Little Rock is saying 11.6 inches. That's just one model, though. Let's look at the GFS. The totals still on the higher end. Hot Springs, Mena, 6.9 into Little Rock, and much lesser amounts into North Arkansas. And look at that happening into South and Southeast Arkansas, hardly anything, because it's thinking there's going to be more rain in that part of the state. The icon, this is from Germany now. I'm not too familiar with it, but it really takes down the snow totals for everybody, except it's got the maximum snow totals for parts of Southeast Arkansas, south of Pine Bluff, getting into North Mississippi. But there's agreement into South Arkansas that the totals are pretty slim. And then this guy, this is what everybody was looking at this morning and was thinking, all right, what is happening?
What's going on
What
here?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
There's always that one that just wants to wander away, doesn't want to follow the leader, follow the crowd. So this is what we're watching to see if the newest model is going to say the same thing, or is this just a fluke run and it just has no idea what it's talking about. Right now, we are not going with that. But if the trend continues to go in that direction, we're going to have to make some significant changes, and a lot of meteorologists are going to have to make some significant changes.
Yeah.
Now the blend. This takes all the models that is issued by the National Weather Service into account, and this just goes with a general range. So it fits more of a 3 to 6 inch range here in central Arkansas, and the last one's a UK Met. And
who knows what it's
doing. I don't know what that one is doing either.
So there you go. You've got just some of the models, a few of them, several of them we look at. And again, over the last few days, it's really been interesting watching our two long-range models. You come back to right here, Michael. The GFS and the Euro. We use these two a lot. I'm a Euro bias kind of guy. I think it does a really good job. It did a great job on this last system that was not projecting any freezing rain or sleet as far south as central Arkansas. Kept it way up north. And they've been in agreement in terms of what kind of precipitation type and really when. And this is Thursday night, 10 o'clock, with a good part of Arkansas, north central, northern and central Arkansas, in the zone of snow. The pink is the mixed bag. And southern Arkansas, like you were saying.
Agreement, rain.
Rain. But these aren't really the two that we depend on for the short-range forecasting. So when you throw the NAM out there, and the HER is still yet to come in, and you look at things like that and you go, no, wait a minute here. It's shifting everything away. That's something you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, you can never write it off and just assume it's wrong, because then you'll get burned.
If you're a poker player, you don't go all in on snow forecasting off of what these two say, because then the short-range models may be seeing something completely different.
And look how close the temperature is. I mean, 33 in Camden, 33 in rain, certainly a possibility, but it could be 32. So just that 1 degree makes a huge difference. And again, it's not just at the surface. It's going
upstairs.
all the way up the profile of the atmosphere. From the ground to the cloud will make a huge difference on who sees what.
Yeah. And typically when you have an upper level low, a well-defined upper level low that's coming in behind a system, it's got its own core of cold air with it. So with that going across the state, that brings the next little batch of snow, and that can produce a little bit as well. You know, from what I've seen, this upper level low is really not as well defined yet.
No.
It's just kind of
it's a
there.
piece. It is upper level low right now off to the west. But then as it swings its way into the mid-south, it becomes more of an open wave, a trough.
Yeah.
That does produce lift for the snow showers for winter weather. But is it going to be, once again, that phasing mechanism for the jet stream to also provide a lot of lift and a lot of moisture? That's something we'll have to watch out for. Now, let's go over to Storm Track 11, because I have a different website up. This is for... this is the Weather Prediction Center, which is a division of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. And what you're seeing here is the probability of 1 inch or more of snow. And the highest probability is over West Arkansas. When we take a look at the probability of 4 inches or more of snow, that is again into West Arkansas. The probability really drops off once you get into East Arkansas. Let's take a look at 6 inches. Is there a possibility of 6 inches of snow? Let me go ahead and, there we go. Looks like there's two things on here. There we go. 6 inches of snow is going to be for primarily Oklahoma, but it certainly cannot be ruled out into western parts of Arkansas. Now, when we take a look at the freezing rain amounts, because that's also a concern, this is for 100th inch of freezing rain, which will cause some slick spots on the roads, but not power outage concerns. You have to get to 1/10 of an inch for that and greater, and that looks like it's going to be primarily for South Arkansas. The temperature, though, is it going to be 33? Is it going to be 32? That'll make a huge difference if it's all rain at 33 or 32, and it's going to be that glaze of ice over South Arkansas.
I think something with that in South Arkansas, especially with the pine forests there, you go up 50, 100 feet, it might be a degree or two colder So there could be some significant icing in the trees in southern Arkansas.
Yeah, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to load, what is the difference between snow, sleet, freezing rain? Why do we see those different types of precipitation? So I'm going to walk over here real quick.
I'll tell you what, while he's doing that, I've got the graph up. The graph is one of our short-range models that we like to use, and we get asked a lot of questions about timing. So you can take this full if you want to, Michael. The latest graph is indicating that we could begin to see some snow develop in Arkansas as early as Thursday morning. Thursday morning, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we begin to see it get a little closer to central Arkansas. By noon, there could be some snow showers near the Russellville, Hot Springs, Arkadelphia, and Little Rock area. And then as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, we get a lot more real estate covered. Keeping an eye on that area of pink in southern Arkansas that would indicate some sleet mixing in with some snow or some freezing rain. But look at the temperatures. According to this model, the graph, readings are going to be in the middle to upper 30s in southern Arkansas. We're going to be right at the freezing point here in Little Rock and the Little Rock Metro. So by 5:30, 6 o'clock on Thursday, this particular model is indicating that we could have a broader area of precipitation, of some snow in the central part of the state. So not to, say this, that these things happen, and when they do, different forecast models project different timing elements. This one's a little earlier in the day, but a couple of more might be a little later. So the weather impact alert that we have really covers all of Thursday and Friday so that you have time to prep and plan. And I will tell you this, I've already been to Walmart. I've already been to pick up my supplies just in case, and the supplies for the family, and folks are already preparing ahead of time. It's a good idea to do that. Are you ready to show your definition?
For the graphic? Yeah.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll take max 2, please. And we are looking at the types of winter precipitation. So one key rule to remember is cold air is heavier and it sinks its way down into the valleys and lower elevations if possible. So when we take a look at this graphic, when you have the temperature from the ground all the way to the cloud, 32 degrees or lower, precipitation falls in the form of snow. When you have the temperature above 32 from the ground all the way up to the cloud, it falls in the form of rain. But sometimes we get this nose of warm air just above the surface, or about 1,000, 2,000 feet above the surface, and that's when things get interesting. So when we take a look at the sleet profile, it's snow in the cloud, but that snowdrop or snowflake will melt into a raindrop as it falls through that layer of warm air, because the colder air being heavier undercuts that wedge of warm air. So therefore, the raindrop will freeze into a sleet pellet, and that's what bounces off cars and kind of stings your face. It does not accumulate on power lines. It does not accumulate on trees. So if we are going to have ice, sleet is going to be the preferred precipitation. We get into trouble when we have a larger wedge of warm air right at the surface. So right at the surface, the temperature is freezing or below. So it can be 28 degrees at the surface, and you may say, it's raining. It's not raining. That rain is freezing on contact. So you have it, snowflakes in the cloud, it melts into a raindrop, and it will stay in the form of rain until it reaches the ground and will create that glaze of ice. And freezing rain is a possibility, especially in South and Southeast Arkansas, where we could see a glaze of ice coat power lines, coat bridges, the roads, the front door steps. I mean, you got to be careful of that, because I remember as a kid, Tom, one time I was walking outside and I thought the steps were just wet. No, I found out very quickly after taking a fall and bruising my bum that that was not wet steps. That was a solid sheet of ice. So we'll have to watch out for that with this winter storm. But any winter storm has all of these factors to consider.
And before we go any further, we were talking about the counties in Arkansas under the winter storm watch in just a minute or two ago.
Jackson, I see it.
Yeah, is issued. I was just curious what they were expecting. Heavy mixed precipitation, total snow accumulations 2 to 4 inches, ice accumulations between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch. So they're expecting some snow down here in southeast Arkansas and Mississippi as well.
Yeah, and different National Weather Services, they talk to one another, but they make their own predictions. So what you see on a map from the National Weather Service out of Little Rock may be different on what you see a map into Jackson. And that's just because we're all meteorologists, we're all thinking different things, maybe not just, looking at the models and agreeing with them 100%, but thinking, okay, there's some other factors that these models may be missing that I'm going to input in my forecast, and therefore accumulation maps are going to be different no matter who you watch.
And yeah, different criteria for winter storm warnings. We're 3 inches, but I think Northwest Arkansas is 4 inches, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
And they may have different criteria in the Jackson area. And by the way, we have a large enough forecasting area. Jackson has Ashley and Chico County. Memphis has Northeast Arkansas.
Yep.
Shreveport, Southwest.
Tulsa's Northwest Arkansas.
So, and that may be a reason why you're not seeing anything here in Northwest Arkansas, although the National Weather Service in Little Rock does handle, I believe, Baxter County and Searcy County, Newton County as well.
Yeah, they go Newton,
it's just those
Searcy,
4 northwestern counties. So just about the entire state expecting winter weather. And I tell you what, here at 5 o'clock today on the newscast, we should have some type of accumulation map. Maybe adjusting it a little.
It's a first call accumulation map. So yes, there's probably going to be adjustments, but we're going to be more conservative. I don't want to go too high and then be like, oh, we're going to pull back significantly. I don't want that to happen. We want to have the most accurate forecast as possible, and we'll try to do our best, but there's never any guarantee. I would not place a bet on a snowfall forecast and be like, that's exactly what they're going to get.
So you have the different models, you have the different amounts each model has. If you're someone tuning in and you're a big fan of the big, lots of heavy snow, then you're pulling for the European model.
Yes.
If you're me and you don't like driving in the stuff, you're hoping that the NAM comes through. I think it was only 0.2 of an inch of snow that was in the forecast. But there you go.
The NAM is coming in.
It's coming in now. Okay.
So there's the latest information from the short-term model known as the North American Mesoscale model. And we are looking at snow likely breaking out in a large part of Arkansas, according to this model information, at 6 o'clock on Thursday. So let's take a look what happened 12Z to see if there's a sharp difference in that when we go back to 12Z or 6 o'clock for Thursday evening. That's what it looked like this morning.
A little bit of a difference.
So that is a significant difference. Here, see, Thursday, 6 o'clock in the evening, that was from this morning's run, and now the field and coverage of snow much different.
All right.
So we'll see what it comes up with snowfall totals. It's going to probably take until 3 o'clock. Obviously, we're not going to be on until 3 o'clock, but we will take this into account when we make our accumulation forecast.
And we'll also take a look at the 0Z data that's going to come out a little bit later as well. This is the 18Z. 0Z comes out around 9, 10 o'clock at night. Usually the first model I see is the NAM. Aside from that, the HER will have high resolution rapid refresh model. That's a lot of R's. That one updates pretty much every hour, but we get a better span of time at 0 and 18.
It's really every 6 hours that the model information comes out. And I prefer really the 12Z models, or what's happening for the morning. You can do the 0Z models because they also have upper air observations, but the 18Z and 6Z that some people post is not going to be as reliable because it is not initialized with upper air data that we get every 12 hours.
Right.
So that's something to consider. If you're not having the right data going into the model, you're probably going to have garbage coming out.
Well, there you go. That's kind of where we are. I tell you, we're going to wrap up here at 2:30 so we can get to general forecasting. Again, let's cover a couple of maps for you. Winter Storm Watch remains in effect through Friday. Ashley and Chico County have been added, and this watch extends all the way down into Texas. Dallas, Fort Worth Metro is included. Memphis is included. I would imagine over the next 24 hours it'll be spread even farther to the east. THV 11 weather impact alert is for Thursday and Friday. all day, Thursday night, and Friday. We might scale back. That storm could be out of here by early in the morning, Friday morning. If that's the case, we'll scale it back. And hopefully we'll get some sunshine and start to melt off the roadways with whatever we get. Heavy snow is possible, as well as sleet, freezing rain, general messiness and iciness, and that's primarily for southern Arkansas. And of course, keep an eye on the hazardous driving conditions if you have to be out driving. Try to give you plenty of time to get prepped and just stay home. Something that I know that there are those jobs that require you to go in and first responders, hospital, they got to find a way in. Weathermen, we have to find a way in.
We have to be here.
Anyway.
And I have to stay here at the station, but we have to do what we have to do.
That's what we got to do.
So bottom line, I would say, is conditions will start to go downhill very quickly Thursday evening. Now, we'll hold off for the Thursday evening commute. It's something we'll look into tomorrow, but certainly Thursday night and Friday morning's rush most likely will be a mess.
Right.
Thursday or Friday evening, things may improve somewhat, and the snow's not going to stick around very long. So get outside and enjoy it if you love snow, because this weekend, sunshine returns. Temperatures will likely be well above freezing in the mid to upper 30s. Yeah. That's going to improve road conditions greatly. And we shouldn't have any road problems, I don't think, for Saturday afternoon. There could be some refreezing. Got to watch out for some black ice, of course, every night, because temperatures will drop back down into the 20s. But day by day, we may see the snow entirely gone early next week if we do get the 3 to 6 inches that we're expecting.
Okay, you heard it here, Nathan. 3 to 6 inches, Scott. You can bank on it, right? Put the house up.
I'm going to look at more information. That's what I'm saying right now, but it could change for the 5 o'clock hour.
We also like to have a little fun behind the scenes as well with some of this. We're not just all like that all the time. We'll keep an eye on things. It is just after 2:30. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be around tomorrow afternoon, same time, 2 o'clock. Join us on THV 11 Plus, the app. You can download the THV 11 app, and you can follow us there as well. We'll have an updated forecast, and we'll fine-tune those accumulations. 5 o'clock today.
Hopefully not too much.
Hopefully not. All right, y'all have a great day. We'll see you at 5.